Hi, my name is Morgan Liu, and today I'll be talking about truth and reconciliation in Canada. For many Canadians, Indigenous history were not fully taught to them when they were growing up. Important experiences of Indigenous people were often left out. But today, we have many resources such as survivor stories, social media, historical records, all these things that can help us understand the past of Canada better. So, this raises the question: what do we do with that knowledge? That is where reconciliation begins. The truth. For more than a decade, young children were stripped away from their families and put into residential schools. They were forced to learn the European life, causing many of these children to forget their culture, traditions, and languages. Although these schools eventually shut down, the harm never ended. The trauma of residential schools continue to affect many generations of Indigenous families and communities today. But understanding the ugly truth of residential schools plays a big part in understanding why reconciliation is needed today. Why reconciliation became necessary. Residential schools were part of a larger history of colonial policies. These policies tried to control Indigenous people and weaken their connection with their culture. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission helped document these experiences. It listened to survivors and helped share their stories. Its work helped many Canadians understand and see the part of Canada that had not been discussed enough before. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission. The TRC created the 94 calls to action. These calls focused on improving life for Indigenous people and building greater relationships. They show that recognizing what was wrong in the past isn't enough. It's also about taking action. Understanding what was wrong is just the beginning, but we need to be able to make a change. An Indigenous perspective. Another way we can reconcile is by listening to Indigenous voices. In CBC video Namoyat, We Are All One, Chief Robert Joseph shares experience as a residential school survivor. He explains that reconciliation isn't just about history or government policies, but it's also about relationships and people. He shares that listening to Indigenous perspectives can create greater understanding and respect. What reconciliation looks like. First off, it can start by learning an accurate history and listening to Indigenous perspectives. We can respect their culture, traditions, and languages. Reconciliation is ongoing. There is no certain point where we can say it is finished. Building a greater relationship takes time. Our responsibility. Although we cannot change what was done in the past, we can learn from it. We can listen to survivors and Indigenous communities. We can learn more about their experiences. We can treat their culture and perspectives with respect. Reconciliation is something everyone can contribute to it. But learning the knowledge is just the beginning. What you choose to do with that knowledge is what makes reconciliation meaningful. It's what makes Canada a kind and understanding country. And we need to keep this ongoing. I hope you took something important from today's talk, and thank you for listening to my speech.